I want you to know some people got into a brawl fight in the middle of our gym during our boys basketball game, and I want you to know I stood right there on the sideline. I'm not breaking up. Them folks hitting the police. My twin was like, have you seen the 100 Men versus a silverback gorilla?
I don't know. It started in like 2020, and it's like
2020.
I used to do Warfare Wednesdays when I taught Latin, and so like every Wednesday you broke up the middle of the week.
I bet the kids ate that up.
You teach history or you teach Latin, man?
It is crazy to me on social media how many teachers I hear from that say we do not have consequences at our school.
No, for sure.
And it's just positive reinforcement. I'm like, to me,
I didn't even. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, are we tuning ourselves for the chorus, or are we trying to like, what are we doing? I just don't get it.
But I want you to know that the 3 years that I've been at my school, I had no idea that what we were doing was PBIS.
Everything now is just so hard to keep their attention.
Right.
Like 26 kids in a class, they're
TikTok
all
generation.
talking. Yeah.
Girl,
And you tell them to put the phone in the cubby. At what point am I going to teach?
Okay. Hey, best friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Teachers Off Duty. I am Honest Teacher Vibes, and I have two of my favorite people. One of you I ain't seen you in a long time.
It's been too long.
Tell the people who you are.
Jay Yondr in the house hanging out. I'm so excited to be here. I get to hang out with Anna, too. I'm so excited.
I've never got to podcast with you before,
This
Jay. I'm
is
so
so
excited.
fun. You just wait.
I'm excited, everybody. I'm Anna Kowal, a.k.a. Read Away with Miss K.
I just love your name.
I
on
know.
social media. Maybe
What?
I like my name, but I had the students help me come up with my name, like when I first
didn't know
started.
that.
So when I first started, I had like my regular name on there because
Yeah.
I didn't know my account was gonna like get big, and then I was like, ooh, I need to change it because it's got my first and last name on it, got my government name on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what can I be though? And then I was like, well, I wanted to like start writing like a book series before I ever thought about social media. I wanted to start writing a book series called Diary of an Honest Teacher, and like do like 180 days of like a diary entry, like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And I also wanted to like leave random sticky notes around the school that was like, please stop blowing up teacher Line's bathroom because you're nasty. Not signed an honest teacher. And I never did it because I'm a real follower and I didn't want to get in trouble.
I was going to say, you love your rules.
I was like, man, what should my name be? And I was like, okay, if I wanted to do that, like Diary of an Honest Teacher, maybe my social media could be like Honest Teacher. And then I tried to find like Honest Teacher, but it was already taken.
072.
And then I was like, right. And then 001 at 2. And then I tried to find, so it's Honest Teacher, and then I tried to find like Teacher Vibes because Honest Teacher was taken.
Yeah.
And Teacher Vibes was already taken. I was like, maybe we do Honest Teacher Vibes, and it wasn't taken.
I never knew that origin story. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first screen name? Do you guys do AOL back in the day?
Mine was Swim Chick 123. Because I was a competitive swimmer, and it something was like Swim Chick, Swimmer Chick, something like that.
My first one was like J0627194, and then I changed it to John Doe 3883.
Ooh, mysterious.
Yeah, because my birthday.
This is Jason Bourne right here.
I know, that's right. I was like, when I sit in a restaurant, I memorize all the license plates in the.
I could not. Mine was like
could.
basketball hoop 32. Yep. I was like, what kind of? If I would have known this would follow me for my entire life, I still have the same like email address. It's associated with my iCloud now.
I love when I see a parent email that like was someone who clearly got this email, like Dungeon Master 69. Like,
California Cutie 82.
What should I bring to the bake sale? I was like, not that username.
Okay, keep that at the house. Keep that at the house. You know what you should bring to the Board Teachers Comedy Tour? Your teacher bestie.
Yeah, that's right.
You should bring
that's a segue.
Your teacher bestie. Every time I hear segue, I think of Paul Blart from Mall Cop. Because then he drove the Segway.
Right?
I don't know why.
I always think of the word because I'm used to, like, I know it's not spelled the way I think it's spelled. Like, I see it in my face. Yeah, that's great.
Because you see words in your, like, when you're thinking about.
No.
Because there's some people that they don't visualize when they're reading.
Well, yeah. I try to teach visualization, but I don't do spelling in my head. No.
Oh no! When I remember a fact, I remember where it was on the page that I read it.
Wow!
Yeah. Wait, what?
I need to write out a spelling
I
word.
know exactly Like in my head, like even like an old Latin book I used to teach out of. I like page 108 is like the one chapter that we'd always talk about. I just in my
You're
head,
a
I can
wizard,
just,
Harry. Like what?
I'm different. I know. I've always been.
That's amazing.
It's
No,
like-
That's a talent
But I'm
I
not
wish
like
I had.
I'm not like beautiful mind. Don't get me wrong. It's just like it's like a fun party trick.
the fact that you quoted "Beautiful Mind" though, like that was your reference. But it is cool to see, like, anytime we have to like study for a test or something like that, like praxis or like master stuff, you see that like it's like legit, like visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, like learners. Like that's like a real thing. I'm a visual learner. Like if somebody's talking about it and teaching it to me, I can remember it. But if I like read it on the page, especially if it's something I don't know how to do, I gotta go find a YouTube video so they can like explain. I need to like visual.
Yeah, no,
see
I'm
it.
mid will hunting. I'm not good at hunting.
I'm mid.
And on that note, okay, so y'all already know all of our fall shows for our world tour are on sale now. We'll be in Australia. We'll be in Canada. We have already been to New Zealand. Amazing. And then we've been to a bunch of states in the United States. And then we have about 20 cities left. And these are our shows for September, October, and then our Canada show. So in September, this is the Down Under tour. I know I don't have a good Australian accent.
Oh,
so
I can't.
I ain't
I'm
gonna
not
try. I'm country, cornbread country, tater tot country.
Yep.
We call our governor Tater Tot. So his name is Tate Reeves, and we call him Tater Tot.
My stepmom's Australian, so I grew up in the house with an
wow.
Australian
Let him
accent.
do it. Can you say
Yeah,
it?
I was like, whoa.
No, I don't have a good one, but
Oh.
but I could because she made me answer the phone like Yondr and Flag residents. This is Jay speaking. And I like remember her answering it because I always hear a British or Australian accent. I just automatically
That's
think of her.
hilarious.
Oh
Yeah,
my
she's no longer
gosh.
with us, so I always it was a fond memory though.
Yes. Wow.
But I can't do the accent. Sorry.
First-hand
Well,
experience, though.
Yeah. So in September, we'll be in Australia. So Adelaide, Australia, Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, Australia. Y'all was rocking with us because we sold out that first show and we added a second show.
Okay.
Canberra made me think cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving. Like me some cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
Canberra, Australia, Brisbane. Hey, Brisbane, Rigby, whatever y'all, Brisbane, y'all was rocking with us too. Because we sold out the first show in Brisbane. How you say it? Brisbane or Brisbane?
I think both.
I ain't Brisbane.
I think both. Both on, all on.
All of the above.
So we have 2 shows in Brisbane. So first show sold out, second show added, and then Auckland, New Zealand. And then in October, we'll be back to the great United of States. We'll be in New Brunswick, New Jersey, Springfield, Massachusetts. Y'all know I can't say that. Poughkeepsie.
Poughkeepsie.
How you say it?
Poughkeepsie.
I lived like 30 minutes away from Poughkeepsie for during my master's program.
How
so.
are y'all saying it?
Poughkeepsie.
Puh.
All right,
Poughkeepsie.
I just the way it's spelled.
The way it's spelled. Yeah, you can't
It looks
look
like
at it.
go, but with a P.
Yeah, it's like Poughkeepsie, New
It's
York.
cute how you say it. I like it.
I'm just country, y'all. Okay?
When I used to read the names
Dang.
at graduation, I would have to cross out their name and write it phonetically.
I
or
would be
was in trouble.
toe up if I had
I
to
would-
read names at graduation.
Dude,
I
you
would
can't
die.
because it gets
High
in your
school.
head and you practice it
Oh,
one
yeah,
way.
no.
You know
I
how many
would die.
Gabriels I called Gabrielle?
Oh, no.
Like, devastating. I've
Oh,
devastated
no.
lives.
Oh no.
And then we'll be in Terrytown, New York. Is that how you say it? Or
Terrytown.
So it's Terrytown. So
That was one of the-
that's
yeah.
pronounced how it's spelled.
Beautiful theater. That was one of the first
Really?
shows I ever did with the tour a couple years ago.
Hey.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll be in Sioux City, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa, Davenport, Iowa.
Des Moines.
Excuse me?
Des Moines. You don't pronounce the S.
You know what? It's
Is it French Française?
Des Moines.
Des
We gonna be-
Moines.
This how I'm country. Des Moines. This where we gonna be. At this point, I'm doing it on purpose because I'm country. Would one of y'all in your regular accent like to read it?
No.
Thank you.
And then we'll be in Rockford, Illinois, and then we are in Canada. Ooh, see, I ain't been pronouncing.
I don't know about the
name-
Canada towns.
I ain't been pronouncing names right. So Canada, hey, we love y'all. We been to Canada before. Y'all know we love y'all. Don't judge me. Charge it to my head, not my heart. Regina, Saskatchewan. You say it fast. Is that right?
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Is it Juan, I think?
I like
Saskatchewan. They trying to trick me with this
I like that.
alliteration. Saskatoon,
That's definitely, I don't know.
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
That's
Saskatoon.
good.
Zoom in on my face.
Gotta say it fast 5 times. Anyway, Canada, y'all know we love y'all. These names, I'm struggling a little bit. We call street screet in Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? With a
Yeah.
it's SCRETT. You know,
That's the correct.
Saskatoon,
yes.
Saskatchewan, Edmonton, Alberta, Calgary, which for some reason made me think of Cadbury eggs. Those are nasty.
Well, actually, they're made in England, and like a lot of even Regina is queen in Latin because a lot of Canada stems from the United Kingdom.
He's smart.
I feel like
Same
I'm
with
gonna learn so
Australia.
much with you
Because
here.
I the way he just said, I could have never thought that's what he was about to explain.
So there was there was a logical I'm just saying there was a logical connection as to why you thought.
I
that.
feel really
really
stupid
cool.
reading these names.
You just justified your thought process.
Thank you. The justification. That is amazing. Calgary, Alberta, Victoria, British Columbia. Y'all were rocking with us. We got 2 shows. North York, 2 shows. Y'all were rocking with us too. North York,
Nice.
Ontario, Kingston, Ontario, Montreal, Quebec, Halifax. Y'all were rocking with us. 2 shows.
Love
Halifax, Nova Scotia. See, we love y'all, man. Y'all know what's
Y'all
up with
going
the Board Teachers
all
Comedy
over
Tour.
Canada. I'm
Yeah.
loving this.
Also, if you didn't hear, Board Teachers has launched a Teacher Speakers Bureau, and it is amazing. So if you didn't hear your city, have your principal, log on to teacherspeakers.com to get any of us amazing comedians come out to do a professional development comedy show. And if we do the professional development, maybe it'll be one you actually want to listen to.
Yeah.
Yep.
So have them check out teacherspeakers.com. Yeah.
I'm excited
love
for
y'all.
that.
Oh,
We
here
love
the-
y'all.
The Australia, and now speaking of the visual thing, all I could see when you mentioned all the my mom had grown up in Alice Springs, and every time she'd come home with Vegemite. Have you ever heard of this?
Yes.
I've heard
And
of
so
it.
I've never
in
tried
my
it.
brain,
Is it good?
it's no, I would never touch it. She would have it on like dry, like cracker
Maybe
toast.
I feel like I heard this was nice.
And I can only see this yellow craft jar, my brain in this corner cabinet, just
Ew.
staring me in the face
I've
when I would
seen it
go for like the
before.
peanut butter.
I gotta
And I would
Google it.
never even try it.
What's it called?
Vegemite.
So you never tried it?
I think she probably had me try it at some
Vegemite.
point, but like I just couldn't. It's like stuff like tomato juice. There's just certain things that I can't go near.
I love tomatoes.
But, like,
Ugh.
but
I'm
I
such
can
an
see
old
that
lady. I
yellow
love tomato
craft
juice.
can of Vegemite in my brain.
What's it supposed to taste like?
It's just like veggies. Like it's just basically a vegetable yeast
What you
extract.
Puree or
Yeah,
something?
I
it's
say
like-
yeast extract. I ain't eating nothing without putting it in something that say yeast extract. It's
Yeah,
nasty.
so I mean, she swore by it. It was in our house every
Yeah.
day.
It's
you
like-
did try it though.
I must have when I was really
wasn't
young,
good?
but I wouldn't do it. No,
What's it taste like?
I can't even remember.
I would love
I
to
probably
look it
didn't
up.
even really try it. You know when you're just already convinced yourself
Yeah,
you're not
right,
gonna
you're
like
not-
it, and then you have it years later, and you're like, it's probably fine. If I ever have, I'll promise you this: if I ever see it again, I
You'll
will
try it.
definitely.
I wanna try
They
I
got me
would
try
totally
Vegemite,
try it.
being like, "Hey, this kind of good a little bit though."
I
Yeah.
wonder what it's
Oh.
like because I know that it's like a household thing
It's-
in
yes.
Australia, and I
Mm.
want to know what would it replace here. Like, is it like their peanut butter? Is
Yeah, I
it
was gonna
like
say, is
their
it like jelly or something?
yeah? Like, is it their
It's
jelly?
basically that. Like it was basically like that. A mixture
Yeah.
you would put on
Toast. A
crackers,
little- a
like
topping.
a charcuterie board.
Not
Yeah,
charcuterie.
yeah.
accoutrement.
Fancy man.
Yeah.
Le Crest.
I would love to
She
try
was very
it. I would
fancy.
really love to try. I've wanted to try it since I was a little girl.
Are
I
you
don't.
serious?
Yes, I don't know. I somehow knew about it
Uh-huh.
as a little girl, and I was like, man, I would try that, and I've just never had the opportunity to try it.
I can't even
Sitting
recall
there.
where I've heard Vegemite at before. We just
Yeah,
said it.
I
I
don't-
never.
I don't- I don't know
aside
where I
from her,
heard
I
it.
never would have heard of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, let's be real. Teaching is no joke. By the end of the day, my feet are barking. My back feels like I've been hauling bricks. And somehow my watch says I hit 10,000 steps when I haven't even left a 25-foot radius. So the fact that my old mattress added to the pain, yeah, that was the final straw. Enter the Brooklyn Bedding Signature Hybrid, aka the best decision I've made in a long time. I'm not even kidding. This thing turned my sleep from survival mode into actual recovery. For once, I wake up without feeling like I got body slammed by a school bus. I went with the medium firmness, perfect for a side and back sleeper like me. It's got the perfect combo of memory foam comfort with the support of coils underneath. And bonus, it stays cool. No more waking up sweaty like I just finished recess duty in August. What really surprised me, the price. This isn't some overpriced showroom mattress. Brooklyn Bedding makes everything here in the US, ships directly from their factory, and skips the middleman nonsense. So you get high-end quality without draining your teacher budget. And if you're not in love, you've got 120 nights to test it out. Your teacher body will thank you. Go to brooklynbedding.com and use the promo code TOD at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use our promo code on the very last page of checkout to get the discount. That's brooklynbedding.com and use my promo code TOD for 30% off site-wide. brooklynbedding.com, promo code TOD.
So this week's episode, as we get into the thick of it, is about student behavior and no consequences.
Yes.
I know we all have a lot to say.
Yeah. Do you have 3 hours for us to talk about this? Because
that time. Look, the producer.
Our producer's
going,
I was saying before we started the episode that I think that students not getting consequences is the number one thing I hear on social media about teachers leaving teaching, is that this shift away from consequences from students, and
especially them being able to put their hands on teachers. Like, keep your hands on yourself. Like, you hit a teacher, you still here?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's assault.
Yes, what are you doing?
So it's I'm super lucky. My school has consequences.
Same.
And we have, an in-house suspension. We have 2 in-house suspension rooms. And if you get a referral, you're automatically going to be put in that in-house suspension class.
Not depending on the tier of what the referral was?
Well, we're pretty trained. I think the teachers at my school are pretty trained on what is a referral and what's not.
Okay.
And whenever we get, younger teachers or first-year teachers, we kind of say, hey, that's not,
Yeah,
chewing gum is not a referral.
Why? Oh my gosh. Why was that the exact thing?
Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah. I was literally about to be like, because somebody needs to tell people that chewing gum is not, please don't stop writing
like
kids up for chewing
we have
gum.
to realize, and that is something that I think you have to train teachers is, what
to write up.
What do you handle in-house?
Right. What do you handle in-house? What do you, when are you going to call security? And because I've had teachers that are like, well, I'm going to call security because of the gum. I'm like, well, you just tell them to spit it out.
Please don't.
Yeah, just tell them to spit it out.
I did discipline team for the first 10 years, and so as a duty, I just wanted to get out of CAF duty. That's all I wanted.
Man, okay.
I don't want to see, I don't want to see,
I don't have to be in the cafeteria.
It's
loud.
It's loud in there.
But
yes,
you would get so basically they would have some of the teachers who volunteered. And so if there was a referral that came in that wasn't a top tier one, that wasn't something that needed immediate attention, we were the buffer. And I found out a lot about my colleagues during that period of time.
Your teachers looked at the referrals?
Well, those of 6 of us that were on discipline team, we would get the lower tier referrals, your chewing gum referral or your, I don't know how to manage this kid, so I'm just writing him
Where do you
up.
teach?
I teach in a school district outside of Philly in the suburbs.
Okay.
So, and I listen, the school district I teach at that I've taught at since I student taught 20 years ago is a great school district. So I'm very blessed. You have your normal knuckleheads and things like that. But I grew up and my family was in a different district that had, for example, they just removed the police officer they had a police officer in there.
Right.
No, they had an actual police officer.
Not a school
and
officer?
not a school officer. They
Real
had an
police.
actual police officer, and they pulled it because they hated the optics of people thinking that they needed it, but they need it. They were having issues at sporting events. You can't even go to a sporting event without being escorted by an adult. The poor security guard was getting assaulted by kids. And
they wonder why people aren't breaking up fights. I want you to know, some people got into a brawl fight in the middle of our gym during our boys basketball game, and I want you to know I stood right there on the sideline. I'm not breaking up. Them folks hitting the police.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking them up.
That's a gorilla versus 100 on a man scenario.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay.
We were talking about that.
My twin, I suck at looking at stuff on TikTok, but my twin was like, have you seen the 100 men versus a silverback gorilla? And I was like, what is that? And she was like, there's a trend going around on TikTok.
That's so funny.
Where she's like, ESPN has even gotten in on it. There's scientists that have gotten in.
Exactly.
But if you don't know what this trend is, it probably will be passed by the time this airs.
Yeah.
I don't know. It started in 2020 and it's restarted.
2020?
Yeah, it was a Reddit subreddit in 2020.
No.
And then sorry.
I just heard about it.
Serious.
Now I have to text my twin after.
It's one of those things like Bruce Lee versus Mike Tyson or something. It's one of those things that can keep coming up. It's an interesting concept.
It is.
It's fun.
But
it's fun.
We are I'm telling you, millennials, we are so unserious.
Yeah.
Because the amount of TikToks where it's when you think when person number 42 lands a good right hook, but still gets killed, but it gives person number 43 a chance to
Come
land
on
some
up.
punches.
Well,
And
that's
it's
what
like
they say. The strategy of the human
strategy of
correction,
it is crazy because the people will be like, yeah, like so the first 10 people automatically gonna die, like off the rip. Like they
They're gone.
like as soon as they run up, and then there was this one guy that was like a UFC fighter, and he was just like, y'all are stupid if y'all think 100 men can beat a silverback
You know
gorilla.
what we Bree
I
in the
agree.
English classroom, we could be like, let's write an argumentative essay.
There you
Is
go.
your claim
relevance?
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
kids would love an
Oh my
argumentative
gosh.
essay like
Thank
that.
you.
They have to do some research.
This is the second time you have given me lesson plans.
I love
Second time in 2
lesson
days.
planning.
I used to.
What?
I love to lesson. I like creative stuff.
That's
okay?
right.
I'm a nerd.
Well, this time of year in the end of the year, you gotta engage. I used to
Right.
do Warfare Wednesdays when I taught Latin, and so like every
Gosh.
Wednesday, you broke up the middle of the week by like Caesar. They were getting them ready to read Julius Caesar.
Y'all are
So
way more creative.
I would
teachers than am.
introduce
That's so
them like
cool.
little pieces about his warfare that still our army still implements some of the
Oh, wow.
strategies.
I bet the kids ate
Technology's
that up.
You
advanced.
teach history or you teach
Loved it.
Latin, man.
So,
Yeah.
so that's the beauty of Latin. That's why I picked Latin, because I can literally teach everything. So what I would do is on a good day, I'd take them outside. Our school's on a hilltop. We would walk the perimeter of the entire school in our middle school. We'd stop and look at every hillside. And then they would have to look at the hillside and say, which one of these is the weakest just naturally as it is? And then they would have to justify which side would they put their efforts to defend, but they could only use tactics and resources available to
At
Julius
that
Caesar.
time.
And
Wow,
then,
that would really put them in the time, because I think a lot of kids have a struggle with time periods
Yes.
and what's the
yes,
difference.
and I had been giving them those Warfare Wednesdays were the material from old textbooks
Mhm.
and they kept it was so old, the one textbook they kept calling it the Great War. They were calling World War I the Great War, and the kids are like, "What's the Great War?" I'm like, "What's World War I?" Why didn't they call it that? Because there wasn't World War II yet.
Yeah,
Okay, this
yeah.
was published in like the
Yeah.
early 1916, 17.
Oh,
But
I want to be in
so
your class.
they
I
had
know. I'm like, I want to
So
be in your
well, here's where
class.
it got even cooler, because then they had to do two things with that information. Once they picked the side, they had to do a model of
Okay.
how, and anything. I mean, these were kids. I had Legos coming in. I had kids in CAD doing the auto drafts. I had kids doing Minecraft and building a Minecraft
gosh, that's
version
so
of
fun.
it.
I want to come to your
And then they had to
classroom.
do a one-page rationale,
Okay.
research-based,
Yeah.
that just
What grade is
basically this was a high school. I did this with 9 through 12.
Because I'm trying to think of taking
That's
my
so
sixth
fun.
graders outside to get them to walk around the perimeter. We're going
Oh.
to lose half of them.
No, we all
No,
have to
well,
hold
yeah,
hands.
right.
Everybody
down
hold
the
hands.
street. Why,
Yes.
You're not going to the gas station to get some gum.
Thankfully, your Latin classes are usually in the teens to low 20s, so like you can keep them. And if at that point, if you've trained them well enough to be like, don't mess
Right,
this up,
right,
don't
right.
mess
Yeah,
this up.
because
This
then
is fun.
we can't
yeah,
do this again.
yeah. We'll
Yeah.
do. You want a
fun.
packet? We'll do a packet. You want a packet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got packets. I always have packets in the back corner. I point to them. I'm like, you want to do the packet? Because it's back
Do
there.
you want to do group work or you want to do package?
You want me to
wanna
kill a
have
tree?
fun?
You want me to kill a tree? I heard
Yeah.
it crying. I killed a tree. Okay.
I had a student one time, he was like mimicking me, and I was like, what would you mimic? How would you mimic me? And he was like, we're going to have a really chill day today. We're only doing 3 packets, really chill. And I'm like, that is exactly what I would do.
I feel so triggered when they mimic me. I'm like, okay, I was just playing. Never mind.
He's
Don't
like,
even-
it's super chill day, just 3 packets.
Did you guys ever do the teacher-student switch day?
Yes.
So
love
I
those
had a Latin
days.
class. It was a small. I mean, we're talking like 8 kids, and to this day, I'm still in touch with them through social media and stuff.
Yeah.
And they, to this day, still talk about it. Where like we reversed the one day, and like the kid dressed up, and he just mimicked me, and I mimicked them. And
was
they
in
would.
character, I love
It
it.
was just a cool. We had this
It's fun.
rapport,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's
it's
the. And we know this, but when you build connections like that, when
Mhm.
you can do that, then you then you can deal with
Yeah.
all of that, and then you don't have to worry about
The
do we have
consequences.
like
Mhm.
RTIs or whatever. I mean, more
Yeah.
I guess RTIs are more academic, but like you need to have like something in place to like a PBIS, whatever that
Yeah. Yeah.
the intervention system is, or
Ooh, that's
restorative
such a hot-
justice is
PBIS
another
is
one.
such a
I
hot
want you to
topic
know
right now.
that I still hate PBIS. I just
Well, it's
I
because
just
it's never
do.
been implemented right.
But I want you to know that the 3 years that I've been at my school, I had no idea that what we were doing was
Was that?
PBIS.
Yeah.
If
Well,
it's implemented correctly,
yeah.
I had no I have never seen a kid come back with a snack or a juice or nothing when they get. So I had
Wow.
no idea that we were doing PBIS, and
Wow.
I remember somebody saying, like, one of the admins saying, so like the PBIS like structure they were doing, and I was like, we don't do PBIS here, to the principal, and she's like, That's what like
We
our
get.
house points are.
Yeah.
Like that's what
All
our
the
like a different.
rewards
But they
and-
make it like fun and something
Yeah.
engaging that the kids
Yeah.
want to do, and they don't use it as as something to excuse bad behavior. That's the
Right.
reason why teachers don't like PBIS is because if it's not implemented correctly, it's
They just assume it's, I'm going to go on a 5-minute walk. I'm going to come back with my hot Cheetos and that's it. And I mean, because we have PBIS in our district as well. But I remember when we first started implementing it, like some district person was talking to us about it. And we were going to do this very complex point system. And like we had like this closet full of rewards that they could go buy stuff with the point system. And I said, can I just ask a question? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, which school in the district, you know, is a model of PBIS? And she said, well, nobody's doing it right yet. And I was like, so you mean to tell me we have like over 100 schools in this district, none of us are doing it right? None of them are doing it right. And I was like, okay, cool. So we're just winging it. But like we have PBIs at our school, but we got rid of that point system that the district wanted us to do. We got rid of that closet with all the stuff they wanted the kids to be able to buy. We don't need all that. Like I said, we have consequences. You can have in-house suspension. We do suspend kids. You know, we obviously don't want to. I know all the research says that suspension is not the way to go, but you know, if you're throwing hands, you know, like there needs to be a big consequence for that. So it is crazy to me on social media how many teachers I hear from that say we do not have consequences at our school.
No, for sure.
And it's just positive reinforcement. I'm like, to me, positive reinforcement. We talked about this on an episode a couple weeks ago or something that like, you know, when I'm trying to get class started, I'm like, thank you, Jay, for sitting at a level 0 with your pencil in your hand. Right. Thank you, Bree, for getting your name on the paper. Like that's positive reinforcement. Yeah, it needs to match. Like if you punch someone in the face, like
I don't know how to give you no positive reinforcement.
You can talk to the kid about your feelings and say, hey, what happened? What was the escalation here? Of course. Right. But there still has to be a consequence after that conversation.
Because are we not preparing them for real life?
Yeah.
There's consequences in real life. Yeah. If you speed past a cop going 90 in a 55, you're going to get pulled over. And it doesn't matter if the person in front of you was doing 100. Yeah. You can't tell the cop, like, the person in front of you was doing 100. You didn't even pull them over.
I remember when I was...
That's what y'all teach it. That's what we teach kids. Yeah.
That's how I felt when I was 16. I was like, there were like 5 people around.
People that sped by before. I got to throw my hands out like the kids do. There are people that sped by before me. Why are you getting a ticket? I'm like... Why? Stop. That's what
it's like
teaching.
Whenever kids, when I'm like, hey, you need to be quiet. They're like, well, 5 other people were talking. And I'm like, listen, I also was talking and got in trouble all the time in the class, but I'm a loudmouth and so are you. So that's why you got caught and this quiet kid didn't.
To another.
Like, let me just tell you.
Well, that's what happens. They start throwing out the weapons of mass confusion. They try to get you going. They're like, yeah, but he did this and they were doing
weapons
that. And just like, they're just, it's
whenever
crazy.
they try to give me the story, I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to hear the story.
That's right.
Stop it. Yep. This is stopping. Don't care. I don't need the background. Don't need the background information.
Now I've been doing secondary a lot, but I did do 5th and 6th grade as like a special areas teacher for a few years, like during the pandemic and after. Rough because I felt like I was not prepared. I didn't know that I had a new class every. I only had the class once a week because I was between 4 elementaries.
Oh,
so I was just the fun uncle rolling
hard.
in, and it was like still post-COVID time, so like there had masks on, so I didn't even get all the data points for who they were. You know, and now I'll see them now. They're in the high school. They'll say hi to me, and I'm like, can you cover up your face because I don't know who you are. And I felt like the teacher would just roll them in like a grenade that they pulled the cord on and just like threw them in my room.
Good
and we're
luck.
just like, it's fire in the hole. You know, just like, I was like, and then all of a sudden the one elementary school I was in, so every building in our district had its own principal with its own idea. And the one principal just had a little xylophone thing with the stick you would just hit, and it was supposed to calm them.
You're lying.
That was supposed to. Every room had one. It had like the little xylophone thing stuck in it.
You're lying.
I want you to. I need in the comments. Please tell us the most ridiculous type of
tool for calm down,
because that's
top tier crazy.
I didn't even. I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, are we tuning ourselves for the chorus, or are we trying to like, what are we doing? I just don't get it.
This
so like
the spa, like,
and it's so hard as like a special areas teacher because you see these kids once a week for 40
so
minutes,
hard to
and
manage.
like you're and sometimes you'd be in the weirdest room. I'd be in a room that had
same room?
computer. I was in every everyone was different. Sometimes they had other events in the space that I was using, and I would have to go to their classroom. I liked when I went to their room because they had their seats and they had their structure, but they had me in this room where the perimeter of the room had all these MacBooks that faced the other
Please
direction.
don't let them touch nothing. Like,
And it was and I was using Nearpod. Because back then you couldn't touch papers.
Used to love me some
What is
Nearpod.
Stop. We need a whole episode on Nearpod.
It's an interactive slideshow.
Yeah.
Like you could do like games, like the kids could like, it's like Google Slides, but you could incorporate interactive slides with Nearpod. There were like 10 different types. Like a poll. You could do a poll real quick. You could do multiple choice quiz real quick.
The coolest thing, they have like hotspots. Like if I'm doing geography, you could pop up a map or like anything, parts of a microscope, and you could dictate where they were supposed to click. So it'd be like, where's Colombia? And then it would be a picture you'd pull up from Google, and you would mark the spot where they had to click.
I think,
and it also will translate everything too, which is great. Are you
serious?
Yeah,
I think that because I'll have to show y'all my lesson plans when we get done. It's because my lesson plans have to look like a college dissertation every week.
But it makes your mini lessons so much more interactive. Like it really is engaging. I haven't used Nearpod in a while. Maybe I'll get back to that.
So just because I was in so many different buildings and because the nature of COVID and not wanting germs to be passed at that time, it was perfect because I could make the one lesson. I put all my time into this one lesson.
Right.
And then I only had to make like 36 of them for the year with the cycles I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just roll in, put the code up, they'd log in, no papers, no mess. It stored all the data. It told me it told me if Jimmy participated 80% of the time, all the time. What did he answer? I got individual reports. So like it just did everything for me, and it was like, so my goal as a language teacher was like, all right, we're going to do 5 minutes of like flashcard. I was trying to do all the different things. And then I would do a VR field trip because they would let you do these 360 views.
I want to go to his class.
I know.
But you had to be careful because you really had to look at that photo because because it was like the Google car just going around. So like they would find the weirdest thing to zoom in on. So like what started as a beautiful idea would turn to them like finding Waldo. And
they would like corrupt it.
Sixth graders.
They're just here's this beautiful building that the ancient Greeks created. And they're looking at this poor kid tourist who had like had his ice cream cone in his face for 3 seconds.
I cannot.
And
that is a middle schooler for
that
you.
Is a sixth. That's
so
a sixth grade.
I realized quickly that like I had to really focus,
hone in,
and it's the tools are great, but without knowing how to use them, same with all the things we're talking about.
Yeah.
Those systems are great in theory, but you have to have the right team that knows their staff and knows how to tailor it, and that's what we have. That's the issue.
And the problem too, like, is I just don't like the blanket statement of like them acting like building relationships fixes all discipline problems.
It's such. First off, they always say, BS. "Well, did you try building a relationship?" It's such a trigger phrase for us, but no one's talking about how we do it. Like, and
you're asking people that, but you're not teaching them how to do it.
And like, I'm sure all three of us probably use a lot of humor to build our relationships. 1000%. Like, that's what I heavily rely on, and I'm just like a happy, peppy person, so I really use my personality more than anything, but like you can't teach that, and there has to be like some sort of a class on how do we build these relationships, because that's such the random phrase, but
it's such a thing.
And let me tell you something, it just doesn't always work.
It's not enough all the time.
It's not enough all the time.
Look, as a teacher, I make roughly, and this is an underestimate, 2,000 decisions a day. Put your pencil down. Yes, you can go to the nurse. No, you cannot bring your lizard to school. So when it's finally time to make a me decision, like picking out new glasses, my brain goes full static. And this is why I love Warby Parker. Instead of wandering through a store being stared down by a too eager sales associate who keeps calling me ma'am, I did the at-home try-on. I picked 5 frames online, and Warby Parker shipped them to my house for free, and I got to try them on in peace. Just me, my mirror, and one brutally honest child yelling, "Those make your face look squishy." Yeah, but the best part, I actually found a pair I love. Stylish, comfortable, and they didn't cost my entire summer budget. Warby Parker uses premium materials, designs all of their own frames, and prices most of them at just $95. Yeah, that's including lenses with anti-reflective and scratch-resistant coatings. Yeah, Please, 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 please. I even treated myself to a pair of Warby Parker sunglasses for summer break. Are they helping with my teacher burnout emotionally? Yeah, they are. So try 5 frames for free at home, shop online or in store, and even schedule an eye exam at select locations starting at just $85. Warby Parker made this decision easy. And honestly, that's rare. Warby Parker has over 270 locations to help you find your next pair of glasses. You can also head over to warbyparker.com/TOD right now to try on any pair virtually. That's warbyparker.com/TOD. warbyparker.com/TOD.
This year in particular, I was having a really hard time. It was my first time being back at the high school for a while.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, these kids are, older, more mature.
Yep.
And just, it wasn't everything now is just so hard to keep their attention.
Right.
Like you have 26 kids in a
Yeah.
class and it's just,
It's the
they're all
TikTok
talking.
generation.
Yeah.
Girl,
And you
10
tell them to put
seconds.
the phone in the cubby, but I got to spend 10 minutes to police whether they put
Yep.
the phone in the cubby. And then
Yeah.
what if they don't? Now I got to go write them up.
Right.
At what point am I going to teach? When do I
Right.
get to
Okay.
teach?
Right.
Okay.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Our
Like, it's
kids
just too
do. We
much.
do those Yondr pouches now, and I literally.
So what is that?
It's
'Cause
like when
my-
you go to the concert and you can't. You
Yeah,
have to
like if you go
ma-
to a Kevin Hart
Mhm.
comedy show or whatever, to make sure that
Dave
nobody
Chappelle, any of
records.
that stuff.
They
Yeah.
they put your phone in this little pouch, and it snaps
Seals
shut. You can't open it. On your way out, you put the thing up to a magnet, and it opens it, and you can take your phone out.
Mhm.
I genuinely remember when we first said we were doing Yondr pouches this year. And it was, everybody was like, is this going to work? Like, how is this going to work? For the most part, like, it has worked.
Do they put
like,
a
I
burner
thought-
phone in the Yondr pouch though?
sometimes, but the amount of kids, but
Interesting.
they were very, like, they had clear consequences
Right.
of what would happen
Right.
the first time. And that's the
Right.
other thing. Clear consequences.
should be
Some people,
written
there's
out.
no consequences for stuff.
Right.
But the kids knew what to expect, which also helps with classroom management if they know
Yeah.
what to expect, that
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are going to be actually consequences.
Yeah.
The cell phone thing, we have not had a problem with cell phones this year.
We don't have any issues.
I hadn't caught a kid with a phone
That's
yet
great.
this year.
Our middle school did that. Our middle school didn't do Yondr, but they just said can't have them out. Got to be
That's
in the
how we are.
lockers. And even just that clear thing, instead of going, was so helpful because teaching at the middle school last year, I didn't see a cell phone all year. Now
That
this
ain't
year
insane.
in the high school, they're allowed to use them between classes. And as soon as they get in, there's like a shoe rack over the door. You know those shoe racks?
Yeah.
And then they have put them in their cubbies. But okay, by this point of the year,
Yeah.
you look at that thing at any
Ain't
given
nobody
moment,
phones in
it's
there.
like
Yeah.
Right, because the
4 or
teachers are
5.
tired, the students
And
are
it's like
over it.
I'm
different. It's
exhausted.
different too, because like we had cell phones in school, but I mean they weren't like advanced like the kids'
No.
phones are now. But I didn't even think about it from a high school perspective. Like it's
Well, the
like
high
you're
school that
taking
I
the phone
taught
of somebody
at-
that's like almost grown. You
Yeah.
know, like especially when they're seniors. It's like how
It
we
was
feel when
different
they're
with
like,
high
put your
school.
phone in a.
Well, that's just it. Like, I had a girl the other day. She wanted to be combative. Like, she's a girl that I know. If she's gonna immediately have an argument.
Right.
And like the one time, I was like, you can't do that. I do sometimes I get passive aggressive, and I
Mhm,
like
mhm.
We all.
I
have
did a
been.
question that I knew the answer to. I was
Yep,
like, hey,
mhm.
how's it going over there? And
Mhm.
and I'm like, I already knew the answer. She's like, why are you asking me stupid questions? Can I tell you, my blood pressure in that moment in front of 26 other students, all I did is I looked at her, I'm like, who taught you to talk to teachers like that?
Okay.
Who taught you to talk to an
Yeah.
adult like that?
Because the audacity sometimes of the things they say, I'm like, you haven't been taught to respect authority at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, I like to ask a question that gets
Yeah,
them off kilter.
right.
That's not a simple
Right.
Yeah.
It's-
yes or no.
it's not
And
you
I don't want to
barking at
engage.
them.
Yeah, I don't
Right,
want to
right,
engage.
right, right, right.
Because then it will be, a
Yeah.
gorilla
And
then you're
versus
gonna get
I'm going to be
escalated.
the 100
Yeah.
unarmed men.
Yep.
And it's just a tired teacher
Yep.
with a walkie-talkie at that
Yeah.
point. And it's just like
They give you a
can't.
walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have a walkie-talkie?
Well, it depends on the room. It depends on the room.
The
I
way
want a
that I have no
walkie-talkie.
control, I would be like, breaker.
Yeah.
I'd know all the gossip. I'd be like, I'm just going to sit here in my corner and listen to the radio.
Where I do my copies, I get to talk with the one teacher, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I got a walkie in here. There was a fight today. I heard all about it."
Okay.
Oh.
You know what the phrase is like that shocks me is when a kid looks at a teacher and says, "Man, shut up talking to me." I
haven't-
cannot imagine looking at one of my teachers and being, "Man, shut
Yeah.
up talking to me."
And I there is
Shut up talking
the
to me.
gall.
It's crazy.
I kid told me
Shut
to
up
chill out,
talking to
buddy.
me.
I told him put
Yeah.
away. Just redirected. Hey, you got to put your phone. Chill out, buddy.
Duh.
I'm like, what?
What's
Are you
What do
talking about?
And we're
I went
not allowed to say
Catholic
what's wrong
school.
with you. That's always been a you can't
the
say what's wrong
response
with
that I
you.
want to have? Because I'm like, I can't give a child response to somebody that's talking to me like they're an adult.
Yeah.
It's hard to give because chill out buddy is giving like, hey,
buddy is a
you're
trigger
parked
word
too
for
close.
me.
Yeah,
Buddy's
I
a
don't
trigger
want
word
buddy.
for me.
I'm not your
Yeah.
bud.
Yeah.
You call me buddy.
Yeah, it makes me think of I don't know if you remember back in the day, there was like the My Buddy was like this doll that they sell. It was like My Buddy, kid sister. It was
You're
My
like, I
Buddy
am
and
not a
kid sister.
doll.
I'm like this, but so I wrote him up. Like I wrote the kid up because I'm like, finally, I hate writing kids up.
I
I
try
try not to write kids.
So,
but sometimes
and
it's
now you don't
necessary.
even write them up anymore. We had to go into the system. It's all digital, and then it kicks it out to whoever the discipline officer is.
Okay.
So I go in,
But
and
yours
so I'm
is still
like,
paper write-ups.
Oh yeah, we still have paper.
you
write-ups.
did. We was the
Ours is-
triplicate. That's how
Then,
ours was.
then our
Digital.
admin logs it for us. We're supposed to log it, but
Okay.
they do it for us.
Well,
Ours is
so they got a
nice.
new system, but nobody told us like all of the
Happens
ins and
all the
outs.
time,
So
all
I'm
the time.
like, okay, well, cell phone misuse has to be at the top of the list. I hit this drop down. The first thing that popped up: aggravated assault and murder.
Why is murder on there?
Because it was the codes were, I guess, in the severity.
Oh, I thought it was
like
like
the
ABC.
codes. I'm
yeah.
like, at first, I'm like,
Is
the
it 'cause you're in
algorithm's
high
crazy.
school?
Like, you know, when
Yeah,
your
this
phone
is-
just talks, and you're like, did somebody in my brain of what I wanted to do? And but it was just the codes were in severity, so like you had to get down to like the 800s.
I'm
to
sorry.
Get to, like,
I'm sorry. You have one that says aggravated assault / murder.
Yes, this is.
Are you at the
and
police
there are-
precinct?
this is a Skyward. If you have the SIS, the Student Information System Skyward, when you go to the codes part, that's because when they showed us the demo of it, they're like, "Oh yeah, ignore this."
I'll be like, I quit.
But like aggravated assault and murder shouldn't be the same thing.
Could you
either.
imagine?
Why
Well, they were like,
is murder on there?
right? That's what I'm like. I'm like, we got bigger problems. That this is the
After
thing.
murder, they
Could
wouldn't
you
be
imagine?
getting a
I'm
write
like-
up. I would be filing a
I'm
police
like, I gotta finish
report.
my salad, but then I'm gonna write Sally up for
Yeah,
homicide.
right. My goodness. Like, and I would think cell phones. That's crazy.
Like, I could not believe it. I'm serious. But if somebody has Skyward, I'm telling you, they're gonna put it in
feel
the comments.
unsafe.
They're gonna be
You're
like, "Oh
like,
yeah, we
yeah,
saw
went
we
to-
actually get that every once in a while.
But I
If
think
I
they
went
just
to log
probably
that-
adopted it from like a
Take it
juvenile
out.
center
Right.
or
Take
something.
it out.
and-
Take it
I know, dude.
If
It was
I
so
went
crazy.
to put in a write up and one of the ones was like aggravated assault /
I was
murder.
like, what?
Hey, come here. Why is this here?
Yo, and
What
yeah,
do you think is your number one reason to write up a kid?
It would have to be fighting or like I've tried to reason with you, blatant like
Yeah.
disrespect.
they're
blatant
consistent.
disrespect.
Yeah, this would have to be something that's happened over and over.
Right,
There were enough
right.
in-house things that happened,
Mm.
and now it's at a level where we need documentation. Because at this
Right.
level, I just need other people to know it's an issue.
Right,
Yeah.
Because
right.
if somebody's
Yeah,
going to look into the system, as
Yep.
guidance counselor,
Yep.
whoever, it's people who might want to write them a recommendation
It's
down
some
the road, or might want to
CYA.
write her a recommendation
Yeah.
down the road. I need them to at least see a paper
See,
trail
yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now it's gone deeper. It's gone to a
Right.
level that I'm like, you know what? The connection, all of those simple things that we've all tried to do
Yeah.
isn't working, and
Mm.
it's at a level
That's
that
usually
other
where I'm
people
at.
need to know.
And I try to give like I do try to give like grace for the fact that they are wiggly and
Right.
ADHD
Right.
and real people, they got days sometimes, but the blatant, I cannot like allow a kid to
Right.
blatantly disrespect
Yeah.
me in front of the
Yeah.
rest of the kids.
Because then
Like,
you're
it's-
setting the trend that other
it's
people can
okay
do
to
it.
do that.
You know what's not relaxing? Shopping. I don't care what the influencers say, how excited they are as they open their bags or are in the dressing room. Trying to find something cute, comfy, and classroom appropriate in a crowded store after a week of teaching. Yeah, that's not self-care. It's a side quest that I did not sign up for. But then I found Stitch Fix. It was like the universe said, "You've done enough. Let us handle this." It's super simple. You fill out a style quiz. Don't worry, it's not graded and it's actually really fun. Let them know your budget, your vibe. Mine's like, please let this be comfortable and soft. And boom, a stylist sends you a box of clothes picked just for you. Not your trendy cousin, not the PTA president. You try it all on at home, keep what you love, and then send back what you don't. No weird mirrors, no awkward fitting rooms, no pushing a squeaky cart full of maybes around Target at 9 p.m. And no subscription commitment. Just order when your wardrobe needs a little love. Teachers, you've got 99 problems, and pants that fit shouldn't be one. Let Stitch Fix help you get dressed so you can focus on what really matters, like surviving indoor recess. So try Stitch Fix because teachers deserve to look good without the hassle. personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/teachersoffduty. That's stitchfix.com/teachersoffduty.
The number one thing I have to write up kids for, because I rarely write them, but we have a very strict cell phone policy at our school. They are in the locker, and if we find it, it is an automatic referral, and it's an automatic day of in-house suspension, and we automatically have to take it from them. And we've had a lot of parents that are like, you know, like if we get a transfer kid, you know, in the middle of the school year.
Girl, I got a new
from
like 3 weeks
yeah,
ago. I was like,
yeah.
oh.
Oh, I've got a new kid just the other day, and I got 17 days left. But you know, I have to do it. And those parents will be like, well, no, my kid's going to have their phone. And they're like, well, if you can't abide by the rules, then you can transfer. Like, and my administration is very strict on it, and it is awesome. But I hate it because I'm like, when I see a phone, I'm like, man, we're in 6th period. It's the end of the day. I just put it away. But if the other kids see it, then I have to write it up. And if you are going to be blatantly disrespectful to me and absolutely refuse to do what I'm saying, then I have to. And you know, sometimes like if a kid, like I can tell is in a really bad mood and is usually not in a bad mood, but I know that they could pop off or something and they need to put their head down, I'll allow it.
Me
you know,
too.
like we all have bad days. But
still, if it's a consistent thing.
Right.
Like
if it's something that I think the paper trail is important so that we can squash this behavior and figure out, okay, how do we work with this kid? How do we work with the guardians to get this behavior right?
And somebody else might have the sauce.
I can't imagine teaching high school. Because it's just the way the way that you have to approach things is just so.
But you can be so much like you can be real with them, Bree. Like whenever I taught 11th grade for my first 3 years of teaching, and you can be really honest with them. Like, cool, if you do that in a year, you're going to get arrested and you're going to go to jail. You can be a little bit more
Well, that's what
brutal.
kid come up like, well, why can't I do this, or why didn't I get a grade like this? I'm like, dude, you've been doing nothing all year, and you just want me to keep writing the checks. What boss is going to be like, oh yeah, I showed up for work, but I didn't do anything,
right?
And now you want to check at the end of 2 weeks? You're crazy. Like when you put it in real terms like that. Because I had a kid the other day. I had to go up to the test center to take a test, and like a woman came in the door. She had hall duty. She's escorting him. She's like, hey, do you know this kid? I'm like, yeah, I know him. And she's like, well, you might want to do this next time. Or she's like trying to give me help, like, because apparently he was like wrestling on the ground going to the test center. And then he tried to tell me when she left, he's like, listen, I have independent study for gym, and I've got my Fitbit, and I just need to get my steps in, and I need to get my heart rate up.
Interesting.
And I'm like, dude, are you talking? Like, stop. I said, if you think I'm buying anything,
that is the best. That is the best lie I ever heard.
He tried so hard.
I was like, I know you have charm.
A
and
for
I know
effort,
it probably works on people.
Yep.
But man, I'm like, what are you doing later? Like, what's the goal?
No.
Jay's
like, I'm a
he was
grown
a junior.
man. Yeah.
Like,
I'm like, you're a
stop.
junior.
It's
What's
not
the
working,
goal? And he's like, oh, well, you know, I want to be a business owner, entrepreneur. I'm like, well, then you gotta lead by example. You're gonna, he's like, you'll be seeing my name on billboards. I'm like, yeah, with wanted above it. Right. But then the laughter, the humor of that moment, it caught him, and he finally was like, all right, But like you have to like reset them sometimes. And it's just like a Chromebook, you know, it's like hold down the 2 buttons till it resets.
Control Alt Delete.
Take some deep breaths in the meantime.
I think with consequences too, like we give a lot of grace. Like,
oh my gosh.
And I'm not saying every teacher does, because there are some teachers that write kids up for chewing gum.
Right.
The first time they seen the gum.
Right.
You just told them they can't chew gum.
Yeah.
A week later you see them chewing gum, now it's a write up. Just tell them spit it out.
Yeah.
You didn't even tell them spit
And
it out.
move
You
on.
just like write up.
This is where the restorative justice of like the 80s. I remember like, because then if you got caught by like Sister Mary Jane in class doing
You'd be
that,
killing me when you be talking about Sister
dude,
Mary Jane.
you then had to spend like Saturday going to the desk and scraping the gum off of all of the desks and like, or under the bleachers in the gymnasium. It's like, that's the kind of stuff where you're like, yeah, I can see how restorative justice could work here.
It's like, you know, community service. But I will say, like, as a parent, even when Peyton comes home, like, you know, they still do the color system. And I know everybody's got an opinion about that shouldn't do color. Listen, we just, as teachers, we work with what we got, man.
We need some cute things, whatever.
So they do, like, their little color system or whatever. And, like, if Peyton comes home on, like, a yellow, green is like, you did good that day. Yellow is like, we needed a little, like, redirection. I want you to know that anytime my baby come home on yellow, I know her teacher told her multiple times to stop doing that behavior. And that because I, as a teacher,
Yep.
if I tell a kid to stop doing a behavior,
Yep.
I give them grace, and
Yep.
I tell them like sometimes more
Yep.
than one time, like, hey, I'm trying to give you a little
Yep.
grace.
Yep.
Let's redirect it.
Mhm.
And then if it's the same thing, like, hey, this is your last chance.
Mhm.
Because nobody wants to, one, it's trying to pick your battles, but two, I'm trying to teach.
Right.
I don't have time to be like, you know what, you're chewing gum, I'm finna write you up right now. No, I'm teaching. Spit it out.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
That's right.
10
That's
minutes later,
exactly
you chewing
what
gum.
happens.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Spit it out.
Yeah.
But you got gum? Put it on your desk. Give it to, matter of fact, I want some gum. My mouth's dry. Give it to
Yeah.
me. You
Yeah.
know, like there's a lot of stuff going on.
You got to keep it moving.
But
though.
the zero consequences, and I think that I would be interested to know like the thought process behind these folks that like it's like the people that are not giving any consequences. What is your thought process? Like, do you think you're giving consequences?
I really think it's the numbers that all they care about is their numbers. Like I think I worked at a school where their number one goal wasn't to educate the kids, nothing. It was lower the suspension rates. That's all it seems like that's all that mattered was we got to make sure that our suspension rates are lower. I was like, but are we lowering the behavioral issues? Are there less? No, they're the same amount of behavioral issues.
Yeah.
We're just not suspending kids now.
Yeah.
So those numbers are a lie.
Yeah.
And what is that? Who is that serving? The district, the state? Who is it? Because it's
Yeah.
not the teachers or the kids that are benefiting.
I had
from
never
it.
seen, before I got to the school that I'm at now, I had never seen like discipline data like shown to us.
We get it every week.
Every month.
It's
So
broken
we get
down
it,
by team, by
right,
grade.
so
I
we
love
get
it.
We get it every month to see, because my principal is like, wanting to see like, is
Do
the
we have
data
trends?
skewed
Data-driven.
toward certain ethnicities of students?
Right.
Do we have more boys and girls getting
Yep.
write-ups? Like what is the number
What's the
one write-up?
common
Like what are things? There's a purpose behind it.
Yes.
Like it's not for, well, we need to delete that write-up because we got to get these numbers down.
Right.
No, like
Right.
I
Where's
just,
the trends? How can we fix these trends?
right. And I'm not saying my school is perfect. We're not. I just have seen we're not. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
Ever. Even at a good school, you still got stuff.
Yeah.
But the school that I'm at now has taught me a lot of like the reasoning behind why things are done. Again, I didn't know we were doing PBIS, but we are doing it.
Yeah.
When they show us the data. Like it genuinely is like helpful,
Right.
but it would be so like bad on morale if they were like, well, I deleted that right up because it was. No, I don't respect you. Why would you delete
Right.
what I as an educator
You
in
don't
my
believe
classroom?
what I'm saying? Right.
Right. Even the teachers that, yes, I don't want you writing nobody up for gum. But
Right.
at the same time, I'm not in your classroom. I don't know how many times you tell that kid to spit that gum
Right.
out. What's your relationship with that kid? What was the demeanor of the kid when you actually spit the gum out? How disruptive was it to your class? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
at some point in time, we have to respect each other as professionals and educators. Stop deleting folks' write-ups out the system. Even if you
Yeah.
think it's stupid,
Right.
go have a
But,
conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but have a conversation.
Have a
with that teacher.
conversation, and then
And
the next
yeah.
time, like, hey, so we know we're not writing kids up for chewing gum or because they wouldn't, take their hood off.
I think like part of that is like retaining teachers too. Like
Mhm.
my school, we've all been there for a long time. And so we're all on the same page. And so we only get a handful of new teachers every year.
So that's the same.
And
the same
so
for
it's
us.
easy for us to be like, hey, like, don't write a kid up for gum. This is
And
how
then
you can
move
handle
on.
that and move on. But, I've worked in schools where every year the
They
vast
got-
majority
yep.
of teachers leave and new teachers come in. Nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Nobody's on the same page.
Well,
And that makes it so incredibly difficult.
And that was a hallmark
know?
thing for me when I interviewed at my school. The fact that there were so many teachers there that had been there for a lot of years.
If you're interviewing for a job, that's a good sign
Listen,
that the school's good. If
the-
they're all still there.
There are
Teacher
multiple
retention.
people that have been there for 30 years.
Yep.
There are multiple people that have been there for 10 to 15 years.
Mhm.
I'm like, and I've
That
been
speaks
there.
volumes about
It
a
speaks
school.
volumes, and
It
this
really
is my
does.
third year, and I literally my other school I still.
Oh, you've only
deal-
been there for 3 years?
This is my next year will be my fourth year at this school,
Okay.
and this being my third year, I still have like the exact same problems verbatim as my other school. It's handled differently
Yep.
by my administration and the morale
That's
of
the
our
key
school.
word.
And we have teachers that stay. You got teachers that stand at the same school for 8, 9, 10, 15 years. They like that school.
They like that
And
school.
we've had principals change.
And they feel respected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been at my
We've
school
had
for
principals
6
change.
years and we got a new principal and we always say, and I can't say the name of my school, but we always say the name of the school way. Like it's blank way.
Yep.
And we taught him the way. We're like, this
Yep.
is how we do it here. And he was totally willing
fact
to
that he was
listen to
receptive. Yep.
us And he's like, okay, I want to continue this because the teachers love it here. And, of course, we've got some new things with our new administration, but he really was on board with it.
Right.
And
But that's the key word, the administration piece, because that's I mean, I've been in the same district for 20 years.
Yeah.
I've taught in all 7 buildings. I've been throughout, tons of principals, but the common denominator is the administrator, and they're experiencing the same burnout teachers are experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the
I
only
could
time
never
I've
be
seen
an
it,
administrator.
Girl,
Let
the
me
way
tell
I
you.
could never be a principal, I would be in the principal's office. I'd be in my own office.
the only
Getting in
time I've
trouble.
ever seen it be successful, last year they had a dean, they had a woman who came in who had been a principal for elementary for years, had gotten out of education to raise her family, came back into it, and she became the discipline dean. And that was the only building I'd ever been in where they had a dean dedicated to helping those kids. So if I had a kid that was acting a fool and it was over and over again and it escalated all those times about spitting whatever out, they came because she cared about the kid and the holistic approach.
Yeah.
She was doing the background to find out how many times you talk, how many other teachers. And if you don't have that, like think about like Principal Lamb, who I see on social media all
Love
the time.
him, man.
But that's
Love
what I'm saying.
Principal
Like
Lamb.
if you have
Love
someone
me
like
some
that
Principal
who's being transparent
Right.
and what they're thinking about, and she was being transparent about it.
Yeah.
And that gave me the confidence to know I had backup.
Yep.
And I wasn't, so if I was getting burnt out, I had someone to call.
Yep.
And that's the common denominator.
It
Well,
is.
it's also
It is. someone that's going to believe you, someone that's going
Yes.
to support you and the kid.
And pay attention to all
And
and find out all of that.
I think for a lot of teachers, the superiority complex that some principals have is we're adults, man.
Yeah.
You are an administrator, you are an authority, you are the person in authority.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a superiority complex. Don't talk down to me. I'm not a small child.
No.
And that is one of the things that I respect so much about my principal. People always ask me, why do you still teach? The 2 principals that I work
What's your
for.
why, Bree? What's your why?
Stop playing with me. My 2, when people say, I'm like, right.
But
It's
no,
like,
that's really what it is. Like, why did that teacher get into what they're doing? Because if they didn't get into it for the right reasons,
Then they should be
then
out.
they're just putting up a front because they're just trying to get to 5 o'clock so they can get out of
Yeah.
it.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I like literally, you can put it in the comments. The superiority complex and the being condescended and not feeling heard and the kid's word being believed over. And I want you to know, like, me and my principals have had disagreements before. They have never disrespected or condescended me one single time.
Right.
They have always treated me like a professional.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these people are like good at what they do.
Right.
Like, I wish that I could say like the name of my school because I'm like,
I
everybody
know,
come look.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and
I
I'm
tell
not-
everybody about my school.
And I'm not kidding. Like, I'm like for real. Like, no, I'm like, I wish I could be like, hey, come look. Cause like, I'm not saying we're doing everything right. We're not.
Right.
What I'm saying is things function better when there is a mutual respect.
Yes.
My principal has some of the highest expectations for us I ever had in my life.
Yep.
But she has never one time been disrespectful, condescending,
Yep.
and she does not. So, as somebody who could have a superiority complex,
Right.
she does. Both of my principals,
Yeah.
the head principal and the assistant principal, they are immaculate
Yeah.
at what they do.
Yeah.
They both could have a superiority complex. They are the most humble people I've
Yeah.
ever met. My principal stands out in the morning. Every morning,
Yep.
rain, sleet, snow, shine,
Same.
doing car rider duty.
Same.
Yeah.
Mine's out there
It's
every
like,
day.
it's like
Yeah,
your parents.
it
It's
is
like
crazy.
it's like the concept of like being a good parent and like listening to your kids and listening back. Like it's like a marriage. You know, the administrators and teachers are like a marriage. Heard a great
Yeah.
quote the other day that was like, a perfect marriage is an imperfect spouse with another imperfect spouse never giving up on each other.
Yeah.
Never giving up.
And that's
right.
really what
And that's
that's
facts.
what that
That's what
relationship
marriage
I'm about
is
to
has
tear
be.
up
Hey,
because I know
that-
my
that's
principal
some
not
of
going to
the-
give up on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, principal.
No. Oh, it's funny. I did a thing for early childhood educators, like a teacher
Cool.
speaker event.
Oh, yeah. Fun.
And then I asked the one woman, she'd been married for 52 years. I said, well, what's the secret to success? You know, the typical thing. And she's like, well, actually, we probably couldn't afford an attorney back when we wanted to get
Oh,
to
that's funny. So
divorce.
we had to work on it.
But then I was
so-
like, oh no, whenever somebody gives you that, like when you go into crowd work and you're like, oh no, oh, where's your parents? Oh, they died. Like whenever there's something, you're like, how am I going to turn this around?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
quote saved me because I was like, well,
Oh.
it sounds like it was an imperfect husband and an imperfect wife who just didn't give
Making
up
it
on each other.
work.
But I really believe, I do believe that relationships the same with whether it's the student and the teacher, whether it's the teacher to the administrator or whomever. It's really about us going in with an understanding that each side's imperfect, and that because I think like that condescending tone is the same parent who gets overwhelmed. There's like, well, just because I said so. She's got a new trend where the parents are
Yeah.
like giving the toxic like beginning to see if the
Yeah.
kid will finish the toxic
Yeah.
ending. Yeah, have you seen this trend? So it's like they ask their kid, like, because I love you. And it's like said
or that I'm not one of your little.
Yeah. And they do that to see if, and that's the problem. I think the ones who are condescending are overwhelmed and burnt out, just like the teachers, and they don't have the faculties to kind of connect those dots because they're not in a place where they can be calm.
And just because, and I say this all the time, and I mean it, just because you were a fantastic teacher, you could have been teacher of the year. You could have had some of the top test scores. Just because you were a fantastic teacher doesn't mean you're going to be a good principal. And that's a hard reality. Like that's part of like knowing yourself. And if you are going to go into it, if you are going to go into administration, you're held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Like if I, as a teacher, I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm continually getting better at my job. As a principal, you should be doing everything you can to make sure that because you're no longer just managing a group of kids. You're now managing grown folks and little people, which is, again, why I can't be a principal, because I can't handle adults acting like kids.
Ask me if I'm going to use it. I'm never going to use it. That thing's going to gather dust.
The biggest thing, probably the biggest reason I wouldn't want to be in administration is because of parents. And I know that sounds awful, but
you have to deal with parents a lot more.
We haven't even talked about them yet. But if we're calling you parents, please know you're the last person I want to call.
I don't want to bother you, but I'm so
sorry. And it's when a parent argues back, like when you're disrespected by a parent, it's just such a heart-shattering moment because I'm like, I promise you, I want nothing but your kid drove me crazy today and yesterday and the day before that, and I'm just now calling you. Like I could have called you 5 days ago. Right. I didn't. I really tried to work with your kid. But then some of them are mad.
They're like, well, you should have called me the first time they did it.
Right, and it's like you can't make some parents happy, and I just we're sitting here talking about how teachers and administration needs to work together and respect each other. Same goes for the community and our parents and our guardians. And
that's what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be this microcosm of society.
Right. And so if I'm calling you and saying, hey, your kid so we have silent lunch at our school, which honestly, I don't love silent lunch because I have ADHD. I need those. They only have a 20-minute lunch break. We don't have recess. They don't have PE every day. Like you need 20 minutes to just chat with your friends and relax.
I'm sorry. What does this mean, silent lunch?
Silent lunch means that they sit at a table by themselves and they're not allowed to talk to anybody.
We teach in the South.
It literally, breaks my heart.
Does it work? Do they do it?
Yeah, they do it because they
don't want to get silent.
We have an AP. So they have an AP that stands right by them for the whole 20 minutes, and everybody in the background's like having a good old time, and they're by themselves.
And they got a little FOMO.
But if I call a parent and tell them, hey, by the way, just so you know, your kid's gonna have silent lunch today,
Oh, so that's the punishment. I thought you just said we do silent lunch. I thought you were just having silent lunch.
They can't talk at all.
No.
What are we doing?
So everybody behind them's having a great time. Their team is having a great time. So that's what we'll do before a referral. So you'll have a 20-minute silent lunch before you get an in-house suspension, basically.
Yeah.
So, and on team, so I'm not on a team because I'm the related arts team, but on team, if the kids get 6 penalties, then they get a silent lunch. So they got 6 times to redirect their behavior, and then they got silent lunch, and parents still get mad at us. I'm like, do you know 6 penalties is a lot of penalties to get a 20-minute consequence. You know what I mean? And it sucks, and I hate it for anytime I walk past the silent lunch table, I'm like, don't look at me, I'm so sorry, this is so sad, I'm so sorry. And I want to just go talk to them and be like, how you doing, are you okay? But I'm like, nope, this is their consequence.
And it's hard. It's hard. It's not hard.
We don't want to see your kids go through that, but we have to do something to show the consequence. We really do love your kids.
Even y'all kids that can't stand up, we love y'all kids.
Yeah.
We do.
I've never had a bad parent conference. Even the kids that whenever you do, when you actually get to the parents and ones even the chill out buddy kid that I wrote up, the parents were nice. We would never allow him to say that. We're on board.
I didn't
it's
think
refreshing.
It was...
I think the connections. Sometimes
it
it's
is
just
nice
taking the time to say it because I get amnesia when the bell at the end of the day 2:45. I get amnesia.
I'm out the door.
I forget that
I can't remember where I parked my car.
Yeah,
every single time.
And then you
I parked my car in
now you got to walk around the perimeter of the building. Nightmare.
Oh,
I don't know why this happens every day. I park my car in the morning when I come out every single day.
I park it in the same spot every day, so I don't remember.
I can't.
I'm 50 first dates every day. It's just reset. I can't remember what happened, what's going on. I'm supposed to go to an IEP meeting. I tell them you're gonna have to call me because
I tell everybody that if I'm in a meeting, you got to have to tell me 5 minutes.
I'm in different rooms. I'm moving around.
I could never.
Well, we know that this is a conversation that, again, we
Yeah.
could spend 3
all
hours. We could have
day.
the entire podcast for
Yeah.
the rest of the year could be
Yeah.
about consequences, and the producer's like, no.
Carlos
Um,
says more. No, that's the
but-
symbol for Moss.
But we could spend, we could spend a lot of time talking about this, but it is a conversation that is multifaceted and
Yeah.
needs to be an ongoing conversation to find some common ground
Yep.
on some things. But the no consequences at all, completely unacceptable, because
Yeah.
that's not realistic to life.
Mm-mm.
But we would like to continue the conversation
Mhm.
in the comments. I do want to hear what's the most ridiculous way to get their attention. So the donging of the bell or whatever the heck that
Oh
was.
my
That
gosh.
is
Oh, the
one of the
claps.
craziest.
Oh,
The clap, the
chants.
light switches, we'd love to hear all
Hocus
of it.
Pocus,
but
Let's Focus.
Hocus I actually like that one.
I love that one.
But yeah, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Teachers Off Duty. I am Honest Teacher Vibes.
Jay
tell
Yoder in
people
the
you
house
can-
from Jay Yoder Comedy.
Hey.
Anna Coal, Read Away with Miss K. Bye, y'all.
Bye, best friends.
See ya.